Hey everyone, welcome. Okay, so today's explainer, it dives into a truly unbelievable story of extreme resilience. We're talking about an absolute botanical miracle here, where life literally, and I mean literally, grew straight out of the ashes. Let's get right into it.
Check out this incredibly vibrant, massive ginkgo tree just standing proudly right in front of the Hosenbo Temple in Hiroshima. But, take a really close look at the bottom there. Do you notice something highly unusual about the architecture right around its base? So, when the temple's new main hall was finally being built back in 1994, the architects ran into a really unique challenge. They absolutely refused to cut this tree down. No way! So instead, they built the main staircase completely around the tree's trunk. You can even see how they added these specific ventilation holes right into the concrete, just so the roots wouldn't suffocate. But, it makes you wonder, why go to such incredible lengths for just one single tree? Well, the answer all comes down to one staggering number: 1,130 meters. That is exactly how close this very tree was to the epicenter of the atomic bombing on August 6, 1945. Think about that. It's a revered survivor of literally one of the most devastating events in human history. And the story of how it survived is just wild. See, at the time of the bombing, this giant ginkgo actually stopped the collapsed temple from burning down entirely. But, as you can imagine, the tree itself didn't walk away unscathed. It was terribly, terribly scorched. Yet somehow, completely defying all odds and honestly all scientific expectations, it miraculously sprouted fresh new life a few years later.
Section 1. Hiroshima's Survivor Trees, Life After the Devastation.
Now the crazy thing is, the Hosenbo ginkgo, it isn't just a one-off. There's actually an official term you need to know here: Hibakujumoku. That's the official name for Hiroshima's most special residents, the trees that actually lived through the atomic blast, along with their descendants. Today, these survivor trees are just so lovingly cared for by city authorities, botanists, citizen groups, you name it. Actually, if you walk through the city today, you'll see that each one has its very own unique nameplate calling it out as a Hibakujumoku.
And the sheer scale of this resilience, it's absolutely jaw-dropping. We aren't just talking about, one or two lucky plants that happen to find a safe shadow. No, there are about 170 officially registered A-bomb trees thriving right now, spread across 55 different locations. And all of this is within roughly a 2-kilometer radius of the Hippocenter. It's just a phenomenal display of nature's sheer will to survive.
Let's check out another really fascinating example. This is the historic Turuhan Shrine. It's a site with over 800 years of history, located 1,810 meters from the Hippocenter. Right here, you'll find this surviving, beautifully twisted Japanese black pine. And get this, it doesn't even stand alone. It actually shares this sacred space with a surviving ginkgo and a camphor tree too.
Section 2. A Message in the Ashes, Defying the Bleakest Predictions.
Okay, to really wrap our heads around the magnitude of these surviving trees, we've got to step back into the dark aftermath of 1945. The grim reality of that time is perfectly summed up by this incredibly bleak quote from back then: "Many believed nothing would grow for 75 years. I mean, try to imagine that. The entire center of Hiroshima was essentially left as a radioactive desert, totally covered in ash. It seems so completely devoid of life that there was actually serious talk of just abandoning the site altogether and rebuilding the city somewhere else.
But then, an emotional, pivotal turning point happened. Just months after the bomb, new seedlings were spotted breaking right through that desolate, broken landscape. I mean, imagine being a survivor, dealing with just unimaginable loss, and suddenly seeing those fresh green sprouts. It sent this powerful, desperately needed message of hope that really encouraged people to stay right there and rebuild.
Watching this whole timeline of recovery unfold is just remarkable, right? In 1945, you've got this radioactive desert. A few months later, those miraculous seedlings pop up and provide hope. And then, feeling inspired by this survival, Hiroshima actually called out to the world in the 1950s. And the response? Communities all over Japan and across the entire globe responded by donating thousands of seeds and saplings. This incredible wave of global solidarity really fueled their massive greening efforts, which is exactly how the city was able to create the beautiful Peace Boulevard and Peace Memorial Park that we can visit today.
Section 3. Green Legacy Hiroshima, Spreading the Seeds of Peace.
So you might be wondering, how did this very local botanical miracle turn into a massive global movement? Well, the pilot phase for the Green Legacy Hiroshima initiative kicked off in July 2011 thanks to co-founders Nasreen Azami and Tomoko Watanabe. And their founding idea was just brilliantly simple, yet profoundly sustainable. They wanted to safeguard these survivor trees while actively sharing their seeds and saplings with the rest of the world.
Now, what makes this specific initiative so huge is that, sure, there had been some prior attempts to share these seeds, but this was the very first major, systematic, international effort of its kind. It's backed by a super dedicated working group of partners, most notably the United Nations Institute for Training and Research, or UNITAR, and Ant Hiroshima.
Let's actually break down their mission for a second, because the goals of Green Legacy Hiroshima go way beyond just botany. Yes, of course, they want to safeguard the Hibikujimoku and plant their seeds worldwide, but the deeper mission here is to foster a greener planet and ultimately create a future completely free from nuclear threats. They're literally taking seeds from Hiroshima and planting them in botanical gardens, schools, and even on these highly symbolic sites. We're talking former nuclear silos in places like South Africa and Kazakhstan. They are physically transforming those spaces into community peace gardens.
So as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative question. Where in the world should the next survivor tree seed be planted to foster peace? I want you to really think about your own community, your own city, or just a place you hold dear. Just imagine where a living, breathing symbol of peace and extreme resilience could take root next. Nature's will to survive is incredibly powerful, and so is our ability to share that message. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.